The subcommittee will come to order. I ask unanimous consent that the chair be authorized to declare recess at any time. Without objection, so ordered. Without objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with, and the mark is open to amendment at any point. Without objection, members have 5 legislative days within which to submit written statements to be made part of the record. So ordered. Now our opening statement. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Tactical Air and Land Subcommittee markup of H.R. 7900, the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2023. I want to start by, again, thanking our ranking member, Mrs. Hartzler, and certainly their staff for the bipartisan cooperation building this subcommittee mark. It certainly has been a longstanding tradition of subcommittee, is always something we value and take pride in. Our purpose this morning is to consider consideration of the Tactical Air and Land Forces Subcommittee recommended legislative provisions and directive report language for adoption and referral to the full committee, subject to amendment. Our markup today, the subcommittee is focused throughout this year on Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, tactical strike fighters, aircraft programs to reduce operational risk, remedy aircraft performance deficiencies, and support sufficient capability and capacity to meet current and future requirements. Continued attention to the department's manned and unmanned intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, the ISR aircraft, and how we are meeting the combatant commanders' requirements for these systems. Continue oversight of the Army's ambitious modernization strategy and the Marine Corps' new force design with its supporting modernization priorities. Absolutely noteworthy this year is the real progress in our oversight and modernization and safety in the nation's conventional ammunition industrial base, an area which we have had particular emphasis, and certainly Mrs. Hartzler and I are focused on it. And of course, the recommendation addresses many of the policies and programs of the members' interests. The recommendations before the subcommittee carefully manage how we equip and modernize our land and air forces to reduce risk in our industrial base and increase the needed oversight of large, complex, and expensive development and acquisition programs. An issue of great concern this year certainly has been inflation on the buying power of the military across their readiness and modernization programs. As with any budget request, the DoD must make economic assumptions and must account for inflation amongst these programs. And we know, however, inflation, the impact on aviation, automotive, telecommunications, munitions, and any other industrial sector, but they are all not impacted the same way. The department has built this request using assumptions based on years of experience, but this year is certainly a challenge. Just the same, it's up to Congress, us here in this room and others, to exercise independent judgment regarding the risk of inflation as it relates to this budget request and therefore risks our national security potentially. The discussion about the impact of inflation on our consideration of the budget request will come up again during the full committee, and certainly we're looking forward to that. I look forward to the members sharing their views on this, and finally, and this is very sincere, I know we all talk about it, but our staff, our professional staff, has been outstanding. The budget came to us late. The end date is still the same. It's called compression, and they have really taken the bull by the horns and done a great job. And we want to thank each one: Bill Sudi, Heath Bope, Carlo Zapiri, Liz Griffin, Kelly Repair, and certainly our clerk Payson, who has somehow pulled this all together. We certainly appreciate everything there. And at this point, the chair now recognizes Mrs. Hartzler, the ranking member of the subcommittee, for any opening remarks.
Great. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I want to thank you for your leadership and the collaboration in building this mark in a very open and bipartisan manner that continues the long-standing tradition of this subcommittee. I'd also like to express my gratitude to the subcommittee staff, including Bill Sudi, Kelly Repair, Heath Bope, Carla Zaperi, Liz Griffin, Payson Rule, as well as Chrissy Lee, my chief of staff, and Steve Azab, who's my military defense fellow, who've been very, very supportive and of this throughout the entire process. So I appreciate all of you, and I wanted to echo the chairman's thanks. I also want to second his sentiments in thanking all my colleagues on the subcommittee for their active participation and hard work this year. What a busy year it has been, with global instability and adversary threats ever increasing. This subcommittee's responsibility of ensuring our military forces are equipped and prepared to defend and preserve our national security now and in the future is more important than ever. Russia's invasion of Ukraine over the past 4 months has only further highlighted how imperative it is that our military possess the capabilities and the capacity necessary to deter adversaries, quickly respond in crisis, provide support to our allies, and, when necessary, fight and defeat any adversary threat to our national security. So many of the defense programs for which this subcommittee has oversight jurisdiction, including tactical aircraft, missile defense, ground combat vehicles, and ammunition production, are critical for maintaining a lethal and effective force to deter and defend against our adversaries. This mark supports the service's modernization efforts within these programs, while also underscoring the importance of sustaining overall operational readiness, minimizing risk to our national defense industrial base, and setting the right conditions to ensure priorities are balanced and our military is prepared and equipped to defend our national security. This mark also facilitates stronger oversight and attention to the Department's management and modernization of its manned and unmanned intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance programs, specifically maintaining the capability and capacity to support the combatant command requirements for these systems. I'm pleased at the subcommittee's continued progress this year in highlighting and facilitating critical infrastructure modernization and safety projects within our defense industrial base and supply chains, an area that is a personal focus of Chairman Norcross and myself for several years now. As always, I continue to be impressed and encouraged by the resiliency of our military and the critical industrial base that supports it. Once again, I commend our members and our staff for their continued dedication to supporting our warfighters and creating this bipartisan and comprehensive mark of which we should all be proud. I encourage everyone's support, and I yield back.
Thank you. And a quick admission, my personal staff at the office, Katie Lee, we happen to be 2 people down. It's a great time for the reserves to call my MLA up. And somebody decided to have a baby, our military fellow. So, Katie, you've done a great job. We certainly appreciate. So let's move on. We'll now proceed to the markup of H.R. 7900, the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 23. Copies of the subcommittee mark and directive report language were made available and distributed to members' offices on Monday, June 6th. Is there any discussion or question on the subcommittee mark? Hearing none, if there's no further discussion, the chair lays before the members the text of the subcommittee mark for consideration. Are there any amendments to the subcommittee mark? None. And we go to the question now occurs on the adoption of the mark. So many as are in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the mark is adopted. The chair now recognizes the gentlewoman from New Jersey, Ms. Sherrill, for the purpose of a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move the subcommittee report the mark favorably to the full committee.
The question is on the motion of the gentlewoman from New Jersey, Ms. Sherrill. So many as are in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. A quorum being present, the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. I ask unanimous consent that the staff be authorized to make necessary conforming technical and clerical changes and to remove from the mark as amended, or excuse me, no amendments, provisions that would cause the mark to refer to other committees or would result in additional direct spending. Without objection, so ordered. There being no further legislative business before the subcommittee, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, folks.